Hi everyone. In this video, I'm going to talk about using Claude Code with GitHub for version control. I'll show you how I get to use Claude to handle the parts of Git that feels confusing and complicated. This is for anyone who's a little bit intimidated by version control or tired of losing work that they have done. Let's get started. So let's talk about this. I am at my GitHub repo right now so that I can show you how it looked like with my repos showing. I clicked on claude.ai/code. I can even have my own Claude Code app, which is a desktop app. But for the demo purposes, I'm just going to continue on web. And just within your browser, you see that you could have a secure environment for coding that you can pick up any session from anywhere through your browser, and you could also connect with your terminal by doing the /web-setup, but I'm going to connect a different way. Just by doing this, you see I have two options to connect with GitHub. I could have the fewer steps version, which is to sign in with GitHub so that you have a one-click authorization that you have, but it requires admin approval, or you could just get token for your specific repo, and then that is more flexible. So I'm gonna continue with GitHub sign-in option in this case, and click on that. You will see that Claude wants to get access to your GitHub account. By authorizing that, you're verifying your GitHub identity with Claude and knowing that the resources that you can access. So clicking on authorize, and you will see the connection is happening right in the browser. You're not using any of the IDE setup. You're not touching a single line of code. Just click on select repos. You will see your existing list of repos. And this is the exact reason why I wanted to show you here, because I do have a list of repos that you will see that these are getting connected. Here is the thing, you don't need to become a Git expert anymore. You just need Claude to run the command while you focus on the work, such as writing a pitch deck, figuring out your copy, or figuring out your launch plan for your new coffee product. Think of it like saving your work in your Google Docs. But now every save gets a version number and a note about what has changed. You're not going to worry about losing anything because you can jump back to the previous version, and that's what Git does for version control. On the other hand, Claude gets to watch your project folder. When you've made changes and they're ready, Claude would stage the files and write a very clear commit message that described what you actually did, and then save it all to history. You can see what changed in every version. If something breaks, you find the commit that broke it and revert back. You're never more than one step away from something that actually worked. And that's the core idea. You get to have safety plus clarity, which equals to the confidence that you need. Let's pretend that I don't have a GitHub account and I'm gonna sign up with my email address. You see that you also have the sign up with Google or Apple. You just need to put together a username and your country region. So I have just signed up with a new account, and right here you could create a new repo. Treat your repos like your product folder, right? So in this case, within my owner account, which is my username, I could have multiple different folders. They're called repos. For this one, for example, it's for my SaaS company, Cloud Grind SaaS. And it's gonna include all the documents or all the files or app building stuff that I use for this specific app. I can have it to be public or private. I could add a README for my team, and I'm just gonna use the default and click create. And now you see that I have a repo created, but this repo is currently empty. So it's like an empty folder that it doesn't have anything in it. I'm back in Claude, and in the connect to GitHub, I'm gonna connect it to this specific GitHub account. So I'm going to authorize that. Once it's being connected, you see that I can search and get into the specific repo, like the Cloud Grind SaaS. And I wanted to say that I have local files that are in the folder. I have my brand voice, I have my pitch deck, template skills, all kind of that. I wanted to be able to add those files into the repo. So you see what is happening behind the scene, right? Claude is telling me that I could drag and drop those or paste the file contents directly in the chat. So I can definitely do that, right? But what if I wanted to do it within the my VS Code? If I am familiar with VS Code, I can definitely do that way as well, right? Claude is going to tell me that there are going to be multiple ways, but it actually encouraged me to paste the file content here instead, because that way you could just do it drag and drop. It will be the easiest path. You don't really need to know how to use your IDE or having a VS Code. You just need to have a local folder, then you could do so. So I drag and dropped some of my files into this. And let's see how that works. I'm gonna find my files and go with this approach. Let me see if I have the files ready. And once I have my files from my folder, I could just drag and drop them into this specific window. And then right in the browser, I should be able to paste them. Right here, I am pasting more than 5 files, and I was told that a maximum of 5 would be selected. So you see that 5 files has been uploaded, and Claude is doing all the heavy lifting here. It says that it's an empty repo. It's going to create the docs folder for me and then add those files. But I could allow this, right? If I wanted to do this as a default, I could always allow, or I could allow once. But actually looking at these, right? If I look at my folder, I would see that I have a lot more than 5 files, right? I wanted to copy my entire local folder at once so that I no longer need to do this drag and drop. And I wanted to save my time and just have a one click. Can I do that at once? Let's ask Claude. And let's see what it says. Okay, right here, I see that I have a way to push my local repo to GitHub, which is a recommended way. I do need to open the terminal in this case and just use these like a copy and paste way to add the git and commit that as the initial commit, and then add it from the origin to my repo, instead of doing that to my individual specific folders, individual files. So I am in the terminal right now, and I'm going to paste the commands from Claude so that I don't have to really put in any commands. And just to let you know, the git init command turns your folder into a git repo that is creating the hidden folder that tracks all the changes. And then for git add all, it stages all your files for commit, and then the git commit -m saves a snapshot of your files with the message initial commit. So as you see it right here in GitHub, I can just open the folder and the files within the folder, and I have just using the commands to have a repo in GitHub, and I could do version control right there. Here is what's possible once you get this right. You're not worried about losing your edit anymore. You're not going to be afraid of trying new things because you can always revert back. You no longer think that GitHub would be for the technical folks out there. And Claude will now handle the git commands so that you don't have to remember them. You get to change your files as you usually do, and Claude would commit it with a very clear message, and then you can keep moving forward.